In version 1.1, we are going to be getting two brand new 5-star units, and it is going to be Silverwolf and LUOCHA. Now, LUOCHA is going to be the main one that we're talking about today because he does fill a fat ton of roles that were left empty or scarce throughout the game when it comes to Honkai Star Rail. So today we are going to be talking about LUOCHA, but I do want to say real quick that I do have a video on Yukong, who is also going to be on LUOCHA's banner. So if you are going to be rolling for LUOCHA, then you might want to go look at that video because it's going to be someone that you're possibly going to get. And even if you don't summon for LUOCHA, you are going to be getting a free Yukong in version 1.2 anyway, so you might want to go ahead and look at that video. But let's go ahead and start talking about LUOCHA and why he's going to be so freaking strong when it comes to having him on your account and what he exactly does. Now, I do want to preface this already, is that if you don't see yourself wanting LUOCHA, or you don't think you really want to have him on your account, don't summon for him, because there's nothing worse than having a character you don't want to use or you don't want to have and spending your jades on it, spending your money on it. Is just a waste of time. It's going to make you not happy. Just don't do it. But for the people that do like LUOCHA, for the people that want LUOCHA, well, you're in the right spot. So we are going to be talking about why he's so strong and his kit and all that type of stuff if you don't already know it. So of course, LUOCHA is going to be an imaginary unit which was only held by Welt, which is really good because of course Welt is an imaginary standard character, and with him being a standard character, he is going to be a little bit harder to get than most promotional characters or some 4 stars, just because you do have to lose the 50-50, and then out of the pool of all of those characters, you have to get Welt. So that is a good thing that LUOCHA is going to be sporting the imaginary element, and also that he is going to be a healer. Same thing with the healers, there's not that many in the game. Natasha's our only free-to-play version of a healer, and Bailu is a standard character that has a healing ability. But again, Bailu is a standard character. She's going to be very hard to pull when it comes to losing the 50-50 and then getting her out of all the other characters. So for the most part, a lot of players only have Natasha. So as you already see, LUOCHA already is at the top of so many people's list because he is imaginary, because he is a healer. So that has a lot of things going for him already without even talking about his kit. But let's go ahead and start talking about his kit one by one and why he's so freaking strong. Now, for his skill is going to be a standard heal, and of course with traces you are going to be getting cleansed with this as well. Now, the reason why this skill is so strong is because you are going to get that initial burst of healing when you use your skill, but you also get this one extra effect. When your ally that you ended up healing ends up going lower than a certain amount of percentage for their HP, you are going to get a free standby heal without using a skill. And for a lot of these harder events, like the boss materials that you need from the Echoes of War, or possibly Memories of Chaos, where this is going to help a lot, then this is where you're going to be needing that effect, where you're going to be seeing a lot of damage come towards your tank, towards your DPS, towards your healer, and having that standby heal without using a skill point is going to be a super strong thing to have. Now, another thing that makes him really good is that he does have his ultimate do damage, and it's an AoE ultimate, and also it strips buffs off of enemies. So for those who get annoyed for those resurrections in the second world, or for, you know, all those buffs that those enemies have in Simulated Universe, or possibly even in Memories of Chaos, you can strip that right off of them, and they're basically have to either rebuff up, or they're just not going to do as much damage as they would have. So those are some really good things that come from the ultimate and also the skill. Now, whenever you use a heal, either from your skill, your ult, or either using your technique, you're going to end up using your talent, and the talent is a really strong thing as well, because it will give a field out for your party members or all your allies, and will be giving them healing over time when it comes to the heals that you get from LUOCHA. So not only does this man have healing over time, he has standby healing without skill points, he has the regular healing with skill points, and he also has a strip of buff off of an enemy. There are just a lot of things going for LUOCHA, especially with all of those crazy things that he can do by himself. He really puts Bailu and also Natasha to shame with how much crazy things he can do. Now, of course, without talking about his kit, him and his roles are going to be super good, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, this dude is going to be lasting a very, very long time without a doubt. You don't even have to know what characters are going to come out in the future. He just looks like the Honkai Star Rail version of Zhongli, because he has just so much defensive capabilities to his kit that it's just going to be very hard to die unless you're super under leveled with what you're going against, especially like Memory of Chaos, Echoes of War, Relic Domains if they have certain annoying enemies. LUOCHA is going to just be healing you non-stop, especially if you use your skill correctly, you know, giving that standby healing to someone who's going to be taking a lot of damage, or getting that healing over time to all your allies through skill and ult that you're going to be doing naturally with LUOCHA anyway. there's just too much going on for LuOcha. He's going to be a very strong pick for you, especially when it comes to, you know, imaginary units, him being a next one in the line with Welt and Yukong, his skill doing so much healing, his ult stripping buffs off of enemies, which are very strong. And I do think in the future, when we're going against harder enemies, when we're later on in the game, they're going to be enemies that are going to be buffing themselves a lot, stacking up crazy amounts of damage, because there's just got to be a way for enemies to get stronger, right? So LuOcha is going to be someone that's going to be scaling super far out into the future as a very strong healer. And of course, he's just going to be the #1 healer in the game once he comes out. There's just so much utility, so much part of him being in his role, which being a healer, that gives him that bump up in terms of ranking and how much people want him, that they're kind of overlooking Silverwolf or some other characters, because yeah, LuOcha just covers so much that everyone needs at the current moment, which is a second healer, which you kind of really need when it comes to going through the Memory of Chaos, because those enemies can hit for a good amount, and you know, without really good healing, just having a shielder using only either Japard or Fire MC, with you only having Natasha on one side, so you have to sacrifice one side not having a healer, is going to be a lifesaver, is going to be a game changer, is definitely going to be shaking up the meta and what the best teams are, because he will be taking that healer spot away, and you might be able to get away with some more riskier comps like double DPS with the support, double support with the DPS, because it doesn't seem like you'll need that much defensive capability when you end up having LuOcha on your account. Another thing I do want to talk about, which I covered this in my Yukong video as well, I'm pretty sure, which is with LuOcha being an abundance character, our healer character, and Yukong being a supportive character for the imaginary unit, and Welt being a sub DPS / DPS character, we are seeing the formations of monotype teams coming into life. And I did talk about this in my Yukong video, but Quantum has the same thing as well, with Sela being the hunt character, with Fu Xuan, who's actually somehow on the wiki already shown as a preservation character, and Silverwolf being Nihility. We're starting to see mono teams come together, because we've seen traces and hints of this in the game, with Pella having Ice Shred, with Asta having fire damage increase for fire teammates. We're going to see a meta shift very soon with the upcoming characters they're going to be releasing, and I think LuOcha is definitely a step for it. Now 100% LuOcha is not going to be just for imaginary units. This is going to be a universal type unit guy, which is going to be on every team that you're going to use, unless you have to have another team for, of course, the Memory of Chaos. So yeah, I see this dude getting so much play, especially when it comes to him in the higher level content, him in the harder level content. So whoever pulls him, I do think this dude's going to stick by your side and be on all of your teams for, I guess, from now until the game ends or something, because I just don't see another healer besides them probably giving like heal / crit damage / crit rate on top of attack buffs. I just don't see a lot of healers that they could whatever come out with LuOcha being better than LuOcha, you know. So other than that, that's pretty much it when it comes to LuOcha and how valuable he is and how good his kit is. As I said before, go ahead and watch that Yukong video if you haven't already. I will be making a video on Silverwolf as well for those that are excited for that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. See y'all in the next video. Make sure to leave a sub and a like if you enjoyed it and watched all the way to the end. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all in the next one, and peace.